am joined today by the awesome Dai Woolridge, all the way from God's own country, Welsh Wales. Good morning, Dai. How are you doing?
Morning, Sarah. I'm doing very well, thank you. Great to be with you, and great to see Cornwall in the background as well.
In the background, you've been here, of course. You've been here, of course, several times. To the sunny southwest.
Yes, it's almost as good as Wales.
Nearly. Just different, Dai, different. I remember yeah, exactly. I remember you coming down with Cath, and Cath was doing worship in our Oasis Ladies Conference, and then of course the church. You did your tent maker thing, the Life of the Apostle Paul, the whistle stop thing. I remember that. That was pretty awesome.
Oh, thank you. I think we watched the rugby that weekend as well, didn't we?
We did. Wales, England.
Yeah, I think I watched Wales, England in England in the women's conference you put on. So I'm surrounded. Can you remember who won? I can't remember.
Oh, I can't remember either. We should know that. That was very tense. Yeah.
It was tense, bro. Indeed. But I mean, it's we kind of go way back, I guess, don't we? Because like you said, I had a one-man show called The Tent Maker, which was on the life of Paul and kind of his road to Damascus experience, and kind of storytelling that really, and how Jesus changed his life through kind of creative communication. So I remember coming down and doing that with you guys. That was really fun. And we've connected, I guess, kind of through similar church circles back in Wales as well. And you've got a soft spot for Cath's gran as well, don't you?
I have. Now, Cath's gran lived in Ystrad, where Glenn and I were for 12 years. Of course, I didn't know the connection until many years down the road. But yeah, a very soft spot for Cath's gran.
And she's got a soft spot for you guys as well. So she still talks about you. So
that's brilliant. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Dai, just in a nutshell. Obviously, you're from Wales. You're married to the beautiful Cath. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. You know, your Christian life.
Well, so I'm a poet, storyteller, and spoken word artist. Which is just a kind of way of saying that. I just love to engage people with story through creativity, using words. And what I'm passionate about sharing is the gospel, is the love of Jesus and who he is and what he's done, and kind of unpacking biblical truths through kind of creative ways, trying to kind of retell the story for today, really. So that's kind of a big part of my passion, and that's looked like, you know, storytelling, one-man shows. There's been books. There's been spoken word films, there's been poetry, kind of all sorts really. But the heart of it is kind of getting creative, using words to try and kind of communicate just how relevant and how significant the love of Jesus is in a fresh, accessible, down to earth way. So that's kind of what I do in a nutshell. Kind of broad brushstrokes. I do some work with Bible Society. So I've got this fancy job title called Creative Specialist, which just kind of allows me to do some of that work really. Bible engagement through creativity, trying to resource the church, trying to communicate the message to culture in a way that will kind of land and be accessible. And then I've got this ministry called Spoken Truth, which I started back in 2011, 2012 now, I think. And so that's the kind of the model of, kind of delivering spoken word pieces to film on themes like Easter, Christmas, remembrance, and various different ones like that. So I've kind of got a catalogue of spoken word films growing there as well. And of course, involved with Cath, and just jumping on more and more, trying to be more intentional about growing that as well. So that's kind of in a very big nutshell.
You're a busy guy. But yes, indeed. But how has COVID impacted all of that then? You know, your schedule, your diary, everything that you had planned.
Yeah.
You know, we woke up on the 23rd of March last year and everything changed, didn't it? So how has COVID times impacted you and your life and your ministry and what you do? And, you know, what good has come out of that experience? Because it hasn't been all bad, has it? You know?
No, for sure. I mean, yeah, like it's been like nothing could have prepared us for this last 15 or so months. And yeah, I think for me, what was interesting was I think I had COVID before lockdown was kind of announced. And it was so early on. I remember kind of calling NHS Direct and being like, I've got all these symptoms. And the guy I spoke to, half the symptoms I had weren't recognized at that time. And he was like, I don't know. I don't know. Rest you might have it, you might not, but just isolate. And yeah, so I was kind of, I remember being ill for really fatigued for a couple of weeks. And there was this one moment where I was just kind of, I think I was awake at about 1:30 in the morning, and I went downstairs because I couldn't sleep. And I just remember just kind of reflecting on it, thinking, this is just so unprecedented. And I just kind of felt this passion within me that I wanted to just offer words that could help people lament what was happening, but also point to hope as well, and point to light. And so, yeah, I wrote a kind of spoken word piece called COVID-19, and I think people really engaged with it. And it was around the time where all the stock of toilet rolls was just vanishing. Do you remember that?
Remember
Everyone
that.
Pictures on Facebook of, you know, oh look, there's no toilet roll over here either. Not realizing they were kind of adding to the stress of people going, oh well, I better get toilet roll. And yeah, so that was kind of, I remember that being one of the lines kind of in it. Yeah, people leaving empty homes for stores to get toilet rolls. And yeah, and I think the heart of it for me was to say, COVID's not going to beat us. And, you know, we've got to kind of, even though we're socially distanced right now, let's kind of be people who spread love and spread hope. And let's catch that, you know. So I think that was the kind of tone of it. And then ended up kind of going on the Songs of Praise program as well, which was great. So I think as a kind of creative, I think part of my heart is to watch and kind of listen really to what's happening in the world, and to just speak into that, to respond. And I think there's something about both lament and hope, but I think you see that kind of throughout the scriptures as well, especially the kind of exiles in the Old Testament, just lamenting the fact they lost their home. And I think God gives space for us to do that, but he always points us to hope as well, and that ultimate hope is in Jesus. So I think that's a very long-winded response, but I think it's definitely been ups and downs, probably same as everyone, you know. And I think there's been moments where I've felt overwhelmed, and there's been moments where I've felt a bit lost, and there's been moments where I felt like I've just been humbled because I realized that I've been putting more of my identity in what I do rather than who I am. But then there's also been moments of space to be creative, and I think stuff like this gives us such an opportunity to engage with the bigger story, and to put like a kind of gospel twist on it as well for people who might be searching. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's really, really good, because we need honesty, don't we, in these times, and truth and honesty go hand in hand, don't they, you know. And tell us about your children's book. So
my children's book, God's Brilliantly Big Creation Story, just kind of casually had it next to me there, Sarah, just to kind of bring it.
Well done, Dai, you read the memo.
Yeah, so do you know what? I think that's been a real blessing for me, actually. I didn't write it in lockdown. I wrote it before lockdown. But I think as kind of everything happened, I almost kind of forgot about it in a weird way. And it just kind of came up with me quite quickly, because we brought it forward because one of the festivals he was going to be launched at was cancelled. So we kind of brought it forward to March the 12th, when bookshops were opening back up in towns. And yeah, it's been a real blessing for me. It was such a joy to write. It's all about kind of, creatively retelling the story of God's creation in Genesis 1 for children. And so the heart of it is that it's playful with words. There's lots of kind of alliteration, rhythm and rhyme. And yeah, there's kind of epic illustrations by this guy called Alex Foster, who's a genius, by the way. So we've kind of got
Brilliant
shots here. There's a page about animals, and I was adamant, being Welsh, that in Wales there was a sheep. So if you can see that, there's a kind of sheep hanging out in Great Britain.
Of course, Wales. There's 11 million of them, isn't there?
Well, there you go.
Apparently there you go. In Wales, yeah.
Is there really?
Yeah, apparently.
Literally, that's 3.5 times the amount of people, isn't it? Wow.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's been a
brilliant
lesson doing that. So that's kind of just come out in March, and I'm excited to kind of go out and storytell it, really, because I've not had the opportunity yet, So I'm kind of raring to go. When that opportunity comes.
That's brilliant. So tell us, just as we draw this to a little conclusion, tell us about your plans and your hopes, for the coming months or for the next year. What things have you got in the pipeline now that we're slowly emerging from this crazy time? What are you looking forward to? What are you hoping to do? What do you think the future might look like for you?
Great question. I think, just kind of in short, really, I'm excited for, we're part of a small church in Pontypridd called Lounge. And I'm excited for, when things kind of start easing in terms of restrictions, for us to be gathering again a bit more. I'm excited about that. I'm working on a couple of projects at the minute. So yes, I'm kind of thinking about Christmas already. Doing a spoken word film. I'm thinking about Easter next year as well, and there's kind of a couple of conferences like Big Church Day Out that I'm involved with. So yeah, kind of thinking about that sort of stuff. In terms of what I'm excited about that. I'm excited about just performing in front of people, in front of a live audience again. I can't wait to do that. I'm excited to be kind of doing more stuff with Cath for Sound of Wales, and kind of, just being more intentional, using our creativity together, really. I think that's something that's come out of lockdown, is that we've been more intentional together. But within all of that, I think I want to kind of keep hold of, like what we've captured in this time as well, So I wouldn't want to go from one end of the spectrum of doing nothing and just spending time with, with loved ones, and especially Cath, to then kind of just jumping back out and doing, I think, hopefully, kind of just getting a real grounding and balance in that,
Yeah, a sort of a gentle transition into the new normal, the next season.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I'll be growing more tomato plants as well, because that's been keeping me sane. I'll be doing something.
We've all learned new skills in this time, that's for sure.
That's it.
Dai, thank you so much for your time today. You're absolute inspiration. You're a legend, and I wish you God's blessing and His love and His peace for you and Cath, and His direction for you for the future. And keep up the fantastic work. Keep communicating truth. Great to spend some time with you.
You too, Sarah. Great to be with you.
Take care, Dai.
Bye.
God bless you. Bye.